This new series on Tatiana Time is called Womanly Takes, where I bring women to come together, share their perspectives, and speak on issues of women rights, norms, traditions, and etc. Understanding. Enjoy.
Hi, I'm Jazzy. I make YouTube videos. I am super creative and I love movies and TV.
The first question would be with the Vogue article, having a boyfriend is embarrassing. Like I've seen different perspectives online where, people are saying that having a boyfriend is seen as an achievement, where being single is a bad thing. And so being in a relationship and being single aren't bad, but being single is being praised online more rather than like I guess being in a relationship because I think women lately are now realizing that they can be independent and prioritize themselves more than a man. So, do you think does this make some women, I guess, who exhibit themselves in a relationship feel like they can't, you know, openly express in a relationship anymore? Like, there's
Mm.
this phrase going on where it's like single women keep women single because there's been a lot of yeah.
Oh, yeah, I do think that's interesting. Also, I read the Vogue article, having a boyfriend is embarrassing, and honestly, a lot of what they were talking about had more to do with fashion choices rather than the actual concept of having a boyfriend is embarrassing. Um, I think I think that I do think that there is more of a risk sharing your relationship online because at least I've seen like for example Selena Gomez and like Benny Blanco, like people are immediately, I mean, I don't know much about the relationship, but people are immediately bashing on her because conventionally he's unattractive or like stuff like that. And so I think, yeah, I do think that in ways there kind of is a fear of sharing your boyfriend online because like what are people gonna think? What are other women gonna think? And all of a sudden, like, am I gonna be seen as less than because of the person I chose to be with?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah, like I feel like mm, I've seen some things online with like women kind of going into our next question where the phrase male centered and that's been a big thing circulating of course in the women space where I think maybe we're losing the definition a little bit, especially with like also pick me and then like, being a girl's girl. Like, what is the definition of a girl's girl really? The definition of being a girl's girl and then also pick me and then male centered. Like, say for example, say I guess a woman does, come out that she's in a relationship. I've seen some things online where I think there has been some backlash. Like sometimes I will see in the comments where it's just like some people were disapproving of the relationship or saying like like I guess you could do so much better. Like still like stay independent. Like don't focus too much on him and stuff like that. And like they'll also like add in the word male centered as well if she's like openly expressing her love for I guess her partner, like her boyfriend or whatever. But I just think we're losing the definition because again, like I think male centered is really just like a woman I think really needing male validation to I guess maybe function in life. I'm not too sure, but of course going into our next question, you're like, yeah, like do you think these certain words are losing their definition online?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like that's happened with so many things, even outside of the topic of women. Like it just it becomes like a trend in a way just to like mention it, where it's like a word you can slap on because it's being talked about everywhere. And I completely agree it's losing its definition, like because a woman is expressing her love for her man does not mean that all of a sudden she is like, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden like she is centering the man. I think that like, I mean, I have seen content online of women or young girls who like I've seen 20-year-old stay-at-home girlfriends who like literally don't have a job, like they are taken care of by their guy, but like social media only tells us one side of the story. I think that it's totally unfair to make all of our judgments and claims off of like a few videos. Like, just because, I mean, in my opinion, I don't think there's, in my opinion, I think that if a girl really wants to just sit back and be taken care of, then I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. Like, if that's truly what a girl desires in her heart, then who am I to say that she's being infeminine or like, but each person is different. I do think that centering men just literally just means like if you cannot find worth away from what a man thinks about you or from like even in small examples like if you go out and you're all dressed up but like you're only going to feel good if a man like approaches you, then I think that is centering men. And so I think that a lot of people like slap that term on to things, but it's also like maybe this is just what it's like being a woman. I think it takes like a really high level of self-awareness and consciousness to be able to clock like, oh, I am still like craving this validation because I also think that that's maybe something that's just been like we've just been taught to desire. Like, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like, how can I say this? Like, I feel like it definitely depends on like the type of household you were raised in. Like, I can say for me, like, since I'm African, of course, like, growing up, there's always been talks about it again, like, learning how to cook for your husband, learning how to clean for your husband, and things like that. And so those type of things never really registered in my mind as a child because it's like as a kid I'm like, why am I cleaning after somebody else? But then it's at the
Yeah,
same time like they say like they treat it as it's like it serves a purpose in some way, like cleaning after cooking after a man, and like also having children as well, and like also being married too. And I feel like
yeah,
that's what we're, I think, kind of shifting into a little bit. Again, like how you mentioned about like how there's young girls who want to become stay-at-home moms, who want to be married, have kids, and then like there will also be like, I guess, like comments where people will say like, but don't you want to maybe have a degree, don't you maybe want to have a ring, or maybe don't you want to what is it, at least have a business or have a job so you're not solely relying on I guess your husband's finances and stuff like that. But it's like, again, like you said, like get like if that's what they want to do, that's the life they're choosing. It's really their choice.
yeah,
But also going into our next question, relating to that. This kind of also goes into pink pill content, and like I'll explain a little bit like what it is really. Do you know that YouTuber, the Wizard Liz?
yeah.
So basically, her content is like pink pill, where she like talks about, of course, like how to be more confident and stuff. But then she talks about, I guess, like what type of man to attract, and like
Mm,
marrying a rich man, or how to be more feminine, how to things like that. And so I know I think last year like she was engaged or something, but then like she got cheated on while she was pregnant. And so there were videos online where people were saying like like her own advice like backfired on her, where she was just solely relying, like trying to get a man's finances, and then boom, like she ends up being pregnant. And it's like, where is she gonna get this support? Even though she has her own money, it's just like, yeah, like that's what people were saying. So it's interesting to see that shift, because in 2020 there was like this whole like, I don't know if I hate men trend going during quarantine, and then now
yeah.
it's like kind of shifting to, oh, how to get princess treatment, again, how to marry a rich man, and like of course like uplifting sex work even more. Do you think this type of content is dangerous for young women, and like does this define like modern feminism?
Wow. Okay. I have a lot of different thoughts. Yeah, I think okay, so first with the Wizard Liz, like I personally view her content as like very uplifting, like whipping you into shape. And I feel like she's the kind of girl who like she just keeps it real with you so that you will like not go against your own values. Um, I think it honestly makes me so sad that she like I don't know, like she got cheated on and the circumstances were horrible. And it's like, I don't know, people are kind of having this perspective like, oh, like this is like they're kind of pointing a finger at her rather than being like he was just a shitty guy.
Yeah, like what about the
Like,
man? Yeah.
yeah, like I think that sometimes there are just things in life that you can't control. Like, I don't know, she didn't have control over his actions. And even if like I know women in my life who have had horrible things happen with their husbands that like they had absolutely no control over. And like, I don't know, maybe they could have looked for a specific person, but I don't know, literally just think there are some things that you just cannot control. And you're just you can be so careful, but at the end of the day, like, I don't know, things happen. I have seen a lot of, and I follow women that are like, this is how to be in your feminine energy, yada, yada, yada. I do think that that has also become a trend. Um, so there is a lot of like just false content out there. Um, and I do think it is affecting women negatively, actually, because the what I see, or especially young women, because, well, first of all, I'm always going to be a proponent of, or I'm always going to be a supporter of, girl, like, get your degree, do your thing, you don't need a man. But if a woman, like I said earlier, like, I don't know, if a girl wants to sit back and be taken care of and just wants to have children, and like that's what she wants for herself, then, naturally she's gonna want a man that can provide that lifestyle for her. I don't know if I don't know if I think that that's like not feminist personally. But at the same time, like you were mentioning the way that you were brought up, like I I do think that if you are like cooking and cleaning and doing all of these things to keep your man, then that's a problem. I think at the end of, like, ideally, if I'm gonna cook for my man, then maybe he cleans the dishes. Like, I would like it to be like equal parts, you know? I think the main thing that I have a problem with is like seeing like this is how you get princess treatment. It basically is just a lot of it, I feel, is still focusing on like the man, which I think defeats the whole purpose. Like, oh, this is how you have to act, this is what you have to say in order to get him to respond this way. And I think that that is missing the point. I feel that like real uplifting femininity should be like, these are, what are your values, what qualities are you looking for, like how do you want to show up in a relationship. And I feel like return reflecting inward and being this woman who like who knows her boundaries. I think that that will, the better you get at that, you will naturally attract better partners into your life. Also because like I think princess treatment, it kind of has this like particular tone to it. Or I like when I say princess treatment, I envision a very specific type of thing. And I don't know if all women want that. Like, everyone has a different personality. Um, I want my car door to be opened for me, but I also want like it's not a huge deal if, what am I trying to say? I want my car door open for me, but like that doesn't necessarily mean anything specific about my personality. I don't know if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah. Like that definitely
okay,
makes sense. Not to cut you off, but it's like people have also been talking about like especially how, again, growing up, how in Disney movies, where before it would used to be, a princess needing to be saved, from a prince. And it's also that like that fairy tale dream where I think most women are kind of, getting out of. And like again, just being more confident and stuff like that. It kind of reminded me of that. So like when it comes to princess treatment, I'm like, is it just only, like damsel in distress? Does it kind of translate to that? I don't know if that makes sense too.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I feel yeah, that's exactly. It's like princess treatment kind of gives this aesthetic of like, oh, I'm so helpless, like, oh, da da da. But I don't, that doesn't resonate with me, but I still want my door open for me. And like, I honestly think that that is like very bare minimum. Oh, so another thing I was thinking, like, okay, so the wizard Liz, like, she is a woman that has money. So I think it's super valid for her to be like, I expect a man who can meet me where I'm at. Because especially as you get older, like when I was younger in college, like I didn't understand that like I was happy. I didn't care about wealth, but now that I'm older, I'm like, okay, it changes the way that people like it changes people's self-esteem. It changes especially like I see it in men, it changes their self-esteem, it changes their personality. And so I think it's super valid for her to be like, okay, I want a man that can meet me where I'm at because a lot of the time if she has all this money and she attracts a man who is making less than her, like maybe that maybe it's a bit of a stereotype, but I think that would make a lot of men insecure. And I think I think it's very valid for her to want to attract a man who can meet her where she's at.
Hmm.
But I also think at the same time that like money isn't everything, but like I don't know. You can say those words, but it doesn't like mean anything because of the type of system that we live in, you know?
Yeah.
Like, um, where was I? Oh, so I do think though that if you are like trying to attract a man in your life just because he has money, like I don't know. I don't think I've seen it happen with like relatives and people in my own life. Like that is not equal happiness. But I do think that because of the way some women grew up, like maybe stability is more important to them than the feeling of happiness.
I've also been seeing TikToks where some women are saying how when it comes to older women and and giving I guess younger women advice on relationships, people are always saying that like oh, older women tend to like tell the other woman who's like probably maybe in a toxic relationship or is in a bad marriage to tell them to stay in that situation. And I don't know if it's maybe when it comes to some older women that like you mentioned, it could be because of stability. It could be also maybe how they were raised as well. Not having again like, what is it like? Good relationships in front of them. Like, what does a good relationship look like? So I feel like that's also another factor when it comes to I guess like male-centered women. I think some people do forget like there's a trauma behind it. Like one woman does not wake up one day and it's like I need male validation, like I can't function without a man. Like it has to be due to trauma or something. Like it could be again like people always say that it could be that she doesn't have a father in her life, like not
Mm,
having a male figure in her life. But I think it could also mean other things too as well. But yeah, like going into also our next question, like, do you think maybe social media has really affected like our expectations with like romance and like relationships? Like, has social media made finding love like very hard?
yeah, I definitely think so. I don't even know if I have like all the words for it, but I just like I feel like I see a video almost every week of like what happened to chivalry or like what happened to I see this one guy, he's always like, what happened to yearning? Like, and I honestly agree with him. I feel like because we see so many people all the time, like just random people on our timeline, it gives us this impression that we have, oh, so many options that I don't know. I don't know. I feel like for the most part, I feel like because there are so many, it seems like there's so many options, it's kind of like giving this impression that you don't really have to go all in. You don't have to like take this super seriously because if it doesn't, whoa, if it doesn't work out, then there's someone else. But I also think that there's also this like idea that you can never flop. And so I actually think that keeps a lot of people from making moves or taking chances on getting to know other people. I don't know if this is super related, but I also think that social media has really like heightened lust drive and like the importance of sex. And not everyone has their own relationship with sex, but I think that social media has made it seem like it's like the most important thing in a relationship. And I don't feel that way. And I think a lot of people are ultimately chasing the wrong things or looking for the wrong things or like something I'm having to learn right now is that if you date someone for 6 months, like that's really not that long in the grand scheme of things. Like if I think about some of my own personal relationships, some people it wasn't until like 2 years in that I decided, wait, you're a really good friend and I'm going to keep putting effort into this. Like that takes a lot of time to figure out. And I think social media makes time feel different. And yeah, I have a lot of different thoughts. I feel that I have a lot of guys in my life will express interest, but then will not like really take it
Exactly.
seriously or like
Yeah.
take me on a date or like there's nothing wrong with like flirting. And I love to flirt too, but like there seems to be a consistent pattern where a guy will express interest but then like not look for anything serious. And partially that also has to do with the type of guys that I am like openly attracted to. But you know I feel like this pattern has also happened with a lot of my friends. And yeah, I don't know, maybe that just has something more to do with guys at my age. There's a lot of different thoughts.
Yeah, and this like also applies to like dating apps as well, and then like hookup culture versus like purity culture. Like my opinion on dating apps, of course, like I'll say like freshman year of college, I was like on Hinge, but the thing is like I feel like I was only on it because it's like everybody was like, in a relationship. Like who around me were in a relationship, people were also like, hooking up with other people, and I'm like, okay, like I'm in college, it's my time to experiment with a lot of stuff, especially my
Yeah.
sexuality. Like, why not start trying? And of course that didn't work out too well because it's just like again, like I talk to these guys and then it's just like slowly begin to lose interest, and I think they also lose interest with me, so it's just kind of like like maybe I should just continue to keep to myself, and then like also regarding to like hookup culture and like purity culture and stuff like that, whatever you do, like again with sex and stuff, it's like personally your choice and everything, like nobody should be ashamed for it. But again, like I have seen some like TikToks. I think one is like where a user had said like you're young and turned, but really you're just like smoking, drinking, and then like cracking everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like people in the comments were like saying like like, oh, but everybody has different lifestyles, like, oh, like what do you do and things like that. And I feel like I don't know if maybe we're shifting into a time where like we're becoming a little bit more modest, if that makes sense. Like I even saw another TikTok again where somebody was like, I feel uncomfortable with the fact that most of y'all are sleeping with strangers, and just continuing doing it. And then it's just like, like I can't judge again, like whatever you want to do is whatever you want to do, but I don't know, like do you feel like maybe we're shifting into modesty more?
Yes. I do see that because I have also seen those videos. But then that also bothers me because I just feel like everything, I can't tell if something is a trend or if it's like a real commentary on society anymore. You know? Like, um, but I do think I with everything we've talked about, I do think that more people are becoming aware of how social media has changed dating and are trying to push back and are trying to like do cutesy things again. Yeah, maybe there is a shift to modesty. Maybe that could also be people just becoming more conscious of like, oh, like hooking up with strangers all the time isn't like doing anything for me. Yeah, at the same time, like it really just boils down to like what are you looking for in your life? Like, are you looking just to have a fun time? Then like, okay, who am I to judge? Like, live your life. I think the main thing that bothers me about social media is I think a lot of things become a trend and like a mass consensus rather than an individual decision of like this is really what I want in my life. Because also like I bet women in and men in sex work have a very different opinion on all of this too.
Also with sex work as well, do you maybe feel like, because I'm trying to think like when did the whole like OnlyFans thing happen or
Oh,
started? Yeah, because it's like I think it became more like prevalent like during quarantine, of course, but there's been some instances where it's like, people are saying like, older women are like encouraging younger girls to go into sex work, even like once they turn 18. And some people are against that. I guess the example can be like, Bad Baby, as soon as she turned 18, like she went into OnlyFans and made like I think $1 million off of it. And but I think she was explaining in a podcast where it was like, the only reason why she got on OnlyFans is because I think her mom was stealing most of her money. So it's like,
gosh. I didn't
yeah,
know that.
yeah, it's like her mom was stealing like a lot of her money, and so like she had to, of course, like find a way to make her own income. So it's like, do you feel like maybe, I don't know, with young girls that they don't have like a lot of options when making income? Because again, like the desire to be a stay-at-home mom and then like go into sex work and stuff like that.
I think young women have a lot of options. I think well, I say that, but then also I'm thinking about my friends who are like trying to get a regular job and like that feels like impossible right now. I think people do have a lot of options in the sense of like freelance work, like self-employed work. Like I feel like I see so many people becoming creators today, like influencers. I don't know if influencer is on the same plane as like someone doing OnlyFans. I feel like people do have a lot of opportunity to create something for themselves right now, but it's just not following a traditional route, and I still think that is like very uncomfortable for people and a lot of parents expect a more traditional route, so maybe that's why people are closed off to trying things or like also like a regular job provides a lot of stability and I think a lot of people just won't crave that as well. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I have limited knowledge on this part because I've never had a normal job. I've never had a corporate job.
Yeah, I'm also limited when it comes to like OnlyFans and stuff like that. But I just know that like again, like most people want, young women to stay away from that and then like actually try to like pursue like maybe an education and then like actually get an actual job and then like instead of going to sex work because I've seen some people also talk about like the dark side of sex work as well, where it's just like there's a lot of interesting stuff, like it's a lot of layers and everything. And like I wanted to go into another phrase that's also happening a lot, that's being used within women's spaces as well. Have you heard of the word bird?
No.
So, basically, there's this thing called bird mentality. It's kind of similar to, male-centered. I guess an example can be if a woman goes back to her man or her husband after he cheats on her. Like that would be example, I guess, of like bird mentality. Do you know the rapper Lotto?
LADO?
Like Latto.
No, I don't think so.
So, or do you know maybe Mariah the Scientist or like
No.
Summer Walker?
Yeah, I know Summer.
Summer? Okay. Well, with Summer, people call her a bird, and it's basically what they're saying is there was this time where I think Summer was trying to pursue this rapper who was already in a relationship, and she was
Oh,
saying, yeah, she was saying like, like, oh, but like you can replace my name as Pizza Hut, you can still talk to me, like, things like that. Still trying to pursue him while he's actively in a relationship. And when that came out, everybody was calling her a bird. Everybody was like, come on, Summer, like, why are you doing this? And things like that. Even people call Beyonce a bird because, again, like, she went back with Jay-Z after the whole cheating scandal and everything. And my opinion on that also with the whole calling Beyonce a bird. I feel like going back to the Lemonade album, I feel like maybe some people didn't really listen to that album through and through because I think she did attempt to leave Jay-Z when she first found out. Like, if you know the, what is it, music video 7-Eleven, basically Beyonce was like all around the world, like trying to get away from Jay-Z, and Jay-Z was trying to actively find her so they can, I guess, like both talk everything out. And like, I think they also mentioned like they went to therapy and everything and managed to work all the kinks out. But people still call her a bird. Everybody's like, oh, why did she get back with Jay-Z and everything? Like, like she should have just divorced him and like everything would be all good and stuff like that. We don't know how their relationship is like truly. Like we only see everything surface level. But I will say again, going back into not having good relationships around you. I think her mom had talked about being cheated on by her husband, Beyonce's father, and she also stayed in the relationship as well. So it's like that could maybe be a sign that Beyonce saw that as, okay, if my mom went through this and I can go through this at the same time and whatnot. But that's basically what bird mentality is. So it's like,
yeah.
I guess it's like, why do you think some women are, I guess, how can I articulate this? I don't know if comfortable is the word, but I guess yeah, comfortable. I guess placing that term on women who don't really I guess have self worth or like self respect for themselves when it comes to a man.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people that say stuff like that have like never been in a relationship before, or like I think that Summer pursuing someone in a relationship versus Beyonce going back with someone that cheated on her, I don't think those are comparable situations. Because like it's so easy to be like, oh, just break up with them, oh, just divorce them. But when you're that person in the relationship, if you have like years of memories, commitments, didn't they have like children together?
Yeah,
Or
basically like three now.
yeah, like you're naturally gonna want to do everything to make that work. And I think that's totally unfair for people to be simplifying it down. Well, I agree, like she really should just leave him in divorce, but you cannot ignore, like you can't just have no empathy towards the situation. Like why are you mad at Beyonce? Like, you know? Um Also like if her mom was cheated on and got back with the guy, maybe in Beyonce's eyes, she saw it as, oh, my mom, like they were able to make it work. So I really want to make it work with Jay-Z. Like maybe that was her perspective. You really don't know. But I feel like people are so quick to have opinions and say things with like no room for empathy, and that just never tells the full story. I do think it's really cringe of summer to actively be pursuing someone that that is in a relationship. Um, unless like the man was playing along with it or something.
Yeah.
Like, because I don't know if that was happening, but also, especially like as a public figure, like there are so many other people in the world. Also, you as a public figure, you have access to like different people that not everyone has access to. Like, why are you
Mhm.
going after this person that is in a relationship? I do think that's really cringe.
Yeah, it's like again, it's like I can understand why a woman is male centered, but it just again, it just doesn't justify her actions. Like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Everything you said earlier about like it's someone doesn't just wake up one day and is like this. There's trauma there, there's history, there's some reason that a person is like that. I feel like I feel like social media, the one thing it does is it really simplifies things in like and keeps everything black and white and it doesn't leave a lot of room for like understanding or empathy.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm worried that someone's gonna hear that and be like, "Oh, so you would make excuses for like," and then list like the
No.
most insane thing ever. I'm like, no, that is that's not what we're talking about.
It's like also like with Cassie from Euphoria, like we understand like the trauma she went through that has made her want to be or become male centered. Like again, we can be
Yeah,
sympathetic towards her, but it's just at the same time like your actions, girl, are just very wrong. But um
yeah,
yeah. But also like kind of back on like Beyonce and Jay-Z's relationship, like if Beyonce were to divorce him, I don't know if she would be able to find someone like on her level of like fame and also like finance as well. Like with both of them like
yeah.
combined, I think are like 1 billion. Like their net worth both is like 1 billion. So it's like who's on the same level as Beyonce, really? If that makes sense, yeah. I wanted to go into this will probably be our last question, but which type of relationships are being exhibited more online? Is it toxic relationships or healthy relationships?
I think it totally depends on who you follow. Like, because I see both of them all the time. But I think some people kind of like following toxic relationships because it's like entertaining content. I also think that that like subconsciously teaches you all that's available for you. I feel like I've been trying to look up to like healthy relationships. Like I love watching like Tom and Zendaya compilation edits. Like they're so cute. I also really like Alison Brie and Dave Franco. Like I just love seeing people that have really sweet chemistry and you can just tell that they're in a relationship but they're also good friends. And I feel like that's like something I want in my dream relationship. So it totally just depends on what you're looking for. And I think you have to just be self-aware.
Yeah. And I guess we can squeeze in, I guess, maybe one more question. Should women prioritize their friendships or relationships more? Why does, balance matter when a woman is in a relationship? Because I've seen actually TikToks before where some women have expressed that they don't want to be friends with a woman who's actively in a relationship right now or who has a boyfriend. And I think they mean in a sense where she's just male centered, where it's just like she can't go out because her boyfriend said so, or she can't wear this because her boyfriend said so. That's the type of really friendships they don't want to be in.
Yeah, that's tough because well, I'll just say like it's been a while since I've been in a relationship. Um I would totally feel the same way if, I actually have had girlfriends where like we would invite them out and their boyfriend was just like, what are you doing? Like texting her, literally blowing up her phone constantly, or like, what are
Mm-hmm.
you wearing? Like, and yeah, it is kind of unfortunate that it dampens your guys' friendship because it's like this dude sucks. Like, why can't you see that he doesn't value you for who you are? Um, but my ideal relationship, romantic relationship, would never include letting go of friendships or having to weaken or unprioritize any relationships with my friends because I feel that my friendships are so important to me and teach me so much about what I should be looking for in a long-term relationship. And I think if anyone, if I was in a relationship and this man was like encouraging me to not be close with my friends, then that would be weird. You know, if you really love and care about someone, you should want them to have all the love and support in the world. It doesn't take anything away from y'all's relationship. I do think that there's like a certain intimacy in a relationship that none of my friends will ever get. And like therefore both should be able to exist because I don't think that they are totally equal. But I'm not saying that in the sense of like, oh, one is higher than the other. It's just that there are like different things you get from these relationships.
With me, I'm currently single, but the reason is because I'm a very busy person. Like, I have a lot of hobbies, I do a lot of things, and it's like I would hate for someone to, feel like they're not getting enough, say, attention from me because it's like I'm doing this interview or like I have this idea and I want to work on it, and stuff like that. And so, but like I've been around, of course, like with my friends when they are in relationships where it's just like, most of the relationships that they've been in have like not been great, and it's not to put them on the spot out there like that. It's just like I've also seen TikToks before where it's just like some girls will like, when their friend is in a bad relationship, they'll be like, like, I guess that's a sign maybe I shouldn't be in one, maybe I
Mm,
shouldn't pursue one because like, she's having a really bad one at the moment. And it's like that used to be me, but like now I'm trying not to like be like, just because someone around me has had one bad relationship doesn't mean like, I won't find a good one or my friend won't find a good one. But it's just
yeah.
like, yeah, it's I don't know. I think like along the way, as I'm learning about relationships and everything, it's just like, I think the biggest lesson for me is just like, don't be in a relationship out of desperation. Like, if your friend is in one or if you see one on social media, it's just like, don't be one in desperation because I think that can really just like mess up your mental, really. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, like, getting in a relationship out of desperation, it still won't give you what you're looking for. Like, if you're feeling really lonely and you get into a relationship, maybe it'll fix it in your little moments together, but like, as a whole, it's not going to fix that. It's always something internal. Yeah, I feel like I've seen, especially a lot of my younger friends, like, yeah, a lot of the relationships have just been kind of like, but that doesn't mean that there are no good relationships out there. And
Yeah.
also you said you're still in college, right?
Mm.
Yeah, like I'm 23, like I'm still really young. Like it's okay if the relationships around me aren't the best relationships. Like people are going to continue to grow and change and learn more about themselves. And I feel like naturally as you get older, like relationships will get better. Because I feel
Mm.
like a lot of my older girlfriends, like they are in like great relationships. They're getting engaged and like I'm excited for them and it's good examples. Um, but oh, you also said you're in a period of your life where you're like really busy right now and very focused.
Mm.
And I totally relate to that. At the same time, I do feel like I feel like and maybe this is wishful thinking because once again, I haven't been in a relationship in a while, but I feel like if you really like someone, like you guys will make it work. If you feel like, wow, this person is different and is really unique and there's something really special here, at least I feel like I would do what I could to make it work. I don't know if everyone else feels that way, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Like again, like I'm not, rejecting the idea of like being in a relationship. Like if someone is interested in me, like that's definitely, again, like I won't reject it. Like it's definitely okay. Like I just think because I'm a very like career driven person where it's just like I need to learn how to prioritize like from a relationship, how do I prioritize my partner, but then also prioritize my work as well. But then also at the same time, how to prioritize me too, just make sure like I'm at least pouring love into each when, if that makes sense. Yeah, like I
Hmm.
just don't want anyone to feel empty, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is fair. Like, I think once you're in a relationship, um, and especially if you're a really busy person, it's going to be hard to juggle everything and like keep all of your friendships. I think some of my friendships have changed a little bit, like once my friend got into a relationship, but it wasn't like the man was keeping them from seeing me. It was just like, okay, their attention is
Yeah.
most of their attention is somewhere else now. And I also think that's just natural. Like I think that's what happens when you're especially as you get older and you're in like a serious long-term relationship. Like I think that's just what happens.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Yeah, so that's why again, like, um, I tried not to not make my friends guilty if like they can't hang out with me or anything. Especially since the relationship, I'm like, it's definitely okay. Like, it's no rush. Like, we can try another day or another week again. Like, it's again, it's attention. So it's like there's nothing wrong with it. I think for me, in conclusion, just like what we talked about in our discussion, again, like I feel like there's nothing wrong with being in a relationship, like if you love your partner, if you love your girlfriend, your boyfriend, you can shout that to the world, post about it and whatnot. But again, like also at the same time, there's nothing wrong with like of course like being single as well and just trying to focus on yourself and your needs and like what you need to get out of the way too, especially. I just think another thing too is just like when you do get out of a relationship, it's just like staying single for a while again, just like having that period to yourself too. But again, yeah, I just feel like there's a lot of content out there, like especially in women's spaces, where it's just like again, like what do I need to avoid when it comes to relationship, or like I don't know, it's just like everything just feels puzzled up if that makes sense. I don't know what to rely on nowadays, just like being a
Yeah.
woman in this day and age. And it's just like like if I want to get a relationship, okay, like whose advice do I listen to? Do I listen to relatives, like my aunts within my family, or like somebody from online? And it's just like
Yeah, I totally agree with you. There's so much stuff out there, and I've noticed I've noticed when I've listened to certain things and how it like affects my behavior in a way that's inauthentic to me. So
mm,
I don't think there's anything wrong with like trial and error. Um, but I also do think with all of the advice, you also have to self-reflect on like, okay, but do is that really important to me or like I don't know. Because also some of the advice out there it is like with an objective in mind and it's like, okay, does that goal match what I really want? And if it is, then okay, maybe I do need to change things a little bit. It definitely just you can't only listen to other people. You have to also listen to yourself.
yeah. And I guess, do you have a conclusion to our conversation today?
Um, I think the only other thing on my mind is like yeah, I wish that there was more space online for empathy and understanding. And I think every person is their own individual person. Like to me, being feminine and embracing your truest feminine energy is focusing on what lights you up inside.
Mm,
And who am I to say that what lights up another woman is wrong, right? That's how I feel.
yeah, that definitely makes sense. Um, but thank you for joining me on this conversation again. And it's just like again, it's just
Ah,
interesting, yeah, to hear another woman's perspective on, like I said earlier, on questions I've been asking myself for a while now. I was even like talking to somebody else about like, like there was so much girl boss media and like how that was such a culture like in 2010s and like now going forward, and it's just like the whole trad wife thing and whatnot, and I was like questioning myself, where did that shift go? So
right?
yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I feel, like I said earlier, I can't tell like what's actually what's just a trend or like what is real commentary on society. I'm just waiting until like 50 years later where it's in history books and it's like discussed with real academic opinion. Yeah. But
Yeah,
yeah,
oh
this
my
has been
God.
super fun. I thought all your questions were like I was super interested to talk about everything. So thanks again for reaching out.
Of course, no. And do you plan, of course, like making more content about like femininity and like also any issues surrounding women too?
Um, maybe. I haven't thought about it, but I do think like I probably will. I think in general, like I just like have I like conversations like this where it's like there's gray area and there's room for gray area.
Of course, yeah.
Um, so probably. I'm not sure.
Okay. I always say this too. I guess, do you have any advice for any young women out there on anything?
Um, for young women, I encourage you to get a journal. Get a journal and get in the habit of just writing. If that's too intimidating, sometimes I set a timer for 15 minutes on my phone and I'm like, okay, I can write for 15 minutes and just write and get in the habit of doing that because I feel like that has taught me so much about myself. And get a journal, guys.
Get a journal. Well, yeah, you have a great day and yeah,
Thank you. You too. Thanks again for everything.
of course.